All right, guys, welcome back. We are here to talk about Ethereum. A lot of things are happening with Ethereum, and I'm here to break it all down for you. My name is Zia, and welcome here. This is Crypto Polaris, and nice to have you here. A lot of you guys have been writing to me, Zia, can you do a show on Ethereum? So, this is going to be not a deep dive, but really some fundamentals. You really need to understand who's using it, what is the utility, and how is it different than other cryptos. So let's just dive right into it and get to it. So what do we have here? We've got an agenda here. As I said, I'm going to talk about the types of cryptos we have. What's the difference between Bitcoin and this? So we'll go through that. Some history on Ethereum. If you want to know the future, it's always good to know the history, as they say, right? Tokenomics, meaning how many coins there are, what are the implications, all of that. We're going to go through this really quickly because you can really Google and find these things. But I wanted to put this in an order that would make some sense to all of us, okay? And then really, who is using Ethereum? Is it just used for trading, or does it really have any use cases? So we will talk about that. A lot of people are thinking, is this speculative? Is it just like other types of meme coins? Let's make the distinction. Who are the people that actually hold the Ethereum token? Okay, above and beyond just me and other retailers. Are there any institutions who are holding? You hear everything about Bitcoin treasuries and things like that. So we will do a little bit of deep dive here as well. And then roadmap, what's next? And it's important to talk about gas. Yes, you heard me. Gas, as in petroleum. And I'm going to break it down because you have to understand this concept. Very different than anything else that you've heard in Bitcoin and other cryptos. The concept of gas, I'm going to talk about the flywheel that makes the price go up, and then do a short-term and a long-term price predictions. All right, so let's just dive right into it. All right, types of cryptos. In my world, 4 types of cryptos. So we all know about number 1, right? It's Bitcoin. There's no need to talk about that. But number 2 is the reason why we're here. We're here to talk about Ethereum. They fall into a category called smart contracts. What's a smart contract? It is programmable language. So Ethereum platform was built to be different than Bitcoin. It actually has a value like Bitcoin, but Ethereum itself, you can write code or logic that can automatically trigger a lot of things that can happen. So it removes a lot of the middlemen. So we call this fancy term in the technology world, smart contract. But it's really if then else, do this. These are all automatically done. And we'll dive into a little bit more about smart contract shortly. Number 3, very important. There's a category called Oracle. And I will do my next video on a crypto called Chainlink. Chainlink is the only one, just like Bitcoin, that has taken the lion's share in the Oracle space. And I don't want to do too much of a deep dive because this is about Ethereum, but oracles are the ones that actually hold all the database and all the truth about the weather, about stock market numbers and all of that. Chainlink is connected with Ethereum, where Ethereum doesn't really have all the data. It looks at Chainlink to make decisions, okay? So that's what Chainlink is. And the fourth kind we all know about, right? Meme coins, Dogecoin, Shibcoin, Floki, you name it, we got it. So that's meme coin. So we are here for number 2, which is the Ethereum. All right. So a little bit of history. And I want to go through this as quickly as possible. So originally it started back in 2013. There were about 7 or 8 co-founders of Ethereum. And some of them have left and moved on to create Cardano, Polkadot, things like that. But one of the original members, Vitalik, is the one that wrote the paper back in 2013 and really put the vision together. And he's still there, and he's the face of Ethereum. And you will see him. He's a Russian-born Canadian, I believe, and a brilliant guy. So started in 2013, and then in 2015, just look in the bottom, it was launched. And it was back then, the token was not called ETH. It was ETC, Ethereum Classic. There's a reason why today is called Ethereum. So original Ethereum is still out there. It's ETC. Nobody buys it anymore. Why? In 2015, there was a hack of the original Ethereum, and lots of things happened, lots of infighting, and the Ethereum was separated into 2. The original one kept on going forward and was not altered and did not fix for the hack, but the new one which is now what we all use, Ethereum, ETH, Vitalik decided to roll back and recoup all the money. It was very controversial. You can Google and learn about that. So that's the genesis of ETH. That's what we're talking about, ETH, which is Ethereum. And ETC, you can still buy. Don't buy it. It doesn't do anything. It has no utility, effectively. Anyhow, so let's move to development, which is number 3. 2017 through 2020, major development happened, and you saw the advent of all sorts of things, especially DeFi protocols were released, Uniswap, the DEX is released, and all of these things have happened between 2017 and 2020. And Ethereum really took off. And then came 2020 to 2022, which is the world of DeFi and NFT. And that's when really you got those Bored Apes, CryptoPunks, if you've heard of those NFTs, really pushed Ethereum to a breaking point. Ethereum is extremely slow. Transactions per second is around 17 transactions per second. There's no way you can do real world stuff. And I'm going to touch on that. What is Ethereum doing to improve that so we can really do some real world things? As a comparison, Visa and MasterCard, they process on their existing platform about 40 to 45,000 transactions per second. So there's no way Ethereum as we know today can compete at 17 transactions. I will touch on that. That really put a lot of light on Ethereum to continue to build, and fix. Ethereum 2.0 came in 2022. This is very important. Prior to 2022, Ethereum worked just like Bitcoin. You know, in Bitcoin, you mine for Bitcoin. In Ethereum, you were mining back then. But in 2022, Ethereum decided to go from mining to proof of stake. Just like Solana is proof of stake. So this is actually Solana is technically proof of history. That's a different blockchain model. But it went to proof of stake. No more mining, because mining, you need a lot of powerful computers, electricity, and all of that. That's what Bitcoin does right now. They moved over to 2022. I remember exactly the day it was migrated over. So that was very, very pivotal for Ethereum. And then last but not least, where we are today is scaling. And I'm going to talk about the scaling stuff because there's a lot of work that needs to happen. And a lot of people are creating stablecoin. You heard of USDC, made by Circle. That's built on Ethereum. But it also exists on others like Solana and others. So I just want to be fair, but I am today talking about Ethereum only. A lot of games are being developed, but again, there are problems when you're 17 transactions per second. 3D games and whatnot are very difficult to play, and we'll touch on that. So gives you a little bit of an overall idea of what Ethereum is. All right, so let's dive into what really matters from a pricing perspective. Ethereum today or yesterday was about $3,700 per token. It has really gone up quite a bit in last month and a half. And the market cap is about $444 billion, second to Bitcoin. All right. And that means in total dominance, about 17% of all the total crypto that is out there. All right. And the bottom one is the supply. So just like Bitcoin has 21 million, Ethereum has more or less 120 million. I say more or less because Ethereum is inflationary. There is no hard cap. It does create about 3.5–4% inflation a year. And I'm going to touch on that, how it's going to become deflationary. So just keep that in mind. It does produce inflation, all right? And keeps on producing inflation. But at the same time, a mechanism, EIP, Ethereum Improvement Protocol, 1559, nothing more than just another version of Ethereum that was released. And that introduced what's called burning. So every time gas, and I'm going to come back to gas because I didn't explain that, but every time a transaction is run, it burns some Ethereum, okay? And I'll come back and talk about this shortly. So overall, it's burnt close to 4.4 million. And Ethereum is staked. That means it is locked up. Out of the 120 million total supply of Ethereum, 32 million are locked up in staking. When you stake in Ethereum, you make an yield, which is like an interest rate, okay? Right now, it's paying about 3.5% interest, or we call it staking reward in the world of Ethereum. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Guys, not going to go through all of these. You can pause and take a look at this, but I wanted to give you a flavor of all the people that are building, building, building. So if you think 3,700 is high for Ethereum, wait till you see my price predictions by me as well as others, all right? So JP Morgan is working on this. Visa, MasterCard is using Ethereum to build all sorts of things. BlackRock, as you know, is buying, buying, buying. Every day they're buying hundreds of thousands of Ethereum, but at the same time, they are building on Ethereum. BlackRock is building all sorts of applications on Ethereum. Franklin Templeton, they're building money market application, and I think they've already built it. PayPal, created their own stablecoin on Ethereum. Circle has created. I'm on number 7. We've got the Monetary Authority of Singapore used Ethereum for a project. European Investment Bank issued bonds using Ethereum. Guys, things are getting tokenized. Get used to that word, tokenized. Everything around the world is going to be tokenized primarily on Ethereum, maybe a few others like Ethereum, such as Solana. Federal Reserve has done some experiments using Ethereum. So keep your eyes and ears open about Ethereum going into the federal government. And of course, the rest of the user communities and whatnot use for minting millions and millions of token on it. NFTs are created. All sorts of things are used on Ethereum. So a lot of different things. There's a lot more to it. Just wanted to give you 10 different flavors of how Ethereum is being used. All right. Who are the major holders of 120 million coins that are out there? There's about 25 million all inside of the exchange, like spot exchange, such as Coinbase, Binance, and all of that. I've listed that here. Then you've got about 32 million that are locked up. That's not available. So 120 million minus 32, it's locked up. It's not available for people to buy. Then you got the founders. In total, there's about 400K. There are some unknown numbers of who has what, but Vitalik has said he has about 240,000 Ethereums for himself, okay? Ethereum Foundation, which manages the Ethereum development and whatnot, has around 400,000. They use it for all sorts of grants and development. Occasionally, they will sell their Ethereum to raise money. Institutions are buying left and right. In the news is BlackRock, Tom Lee. They are buying approximately around 5 million have been bought up so far, okay, in total, including Grayscale. And then all sorts of other retail people like me, and burning is happening every day. This is in total, you've got about 120 million. So if you do the math, guys, if you do the math, there's really not much available out there as these utilities are beginning to be built. Okay, so keep that in mind. 21 million Bitcoin gets all the news, but there's only 120 million here. And once the deflation takes place and all these programs are being built, the Ethereum price has only one way to go, up and up. All right, what is the roadmap? Remember the number one thing in the bottom left. They name these things very strangely, so stick with this. They have the surge, the scrouge, the verge, the purge, the splurge, and I'm sure they'll release another one. It's an complete step-by-step development, ongoing ever since I've known Ethereum. But the most important one is the bottom left, the surge. You need that to happen. Now, with the surge, Ethereum, I won't get into all the technicalities, but Ethereum, remember I said 17 transactions per second? All of a sudden, this will be released sometime end of this year, where Ethereum will be able to process around 100,000 transactions per second. Keep that in mind. Solana right now does around 1,900 transactions per second. Theoretically, Solana can do 65,000 transactions per second. We don't want to get into all sorts of debates, which is better, which is not. But obviously, Ethereum is coming a long way, going from 17 transactions to 100,000 transactions. So it is being primed for real world use. All right. The rest I won't go through. Just wanted to let you know that there's a lot of money being deployed to build Ethereum. All right. Now, what is this? This is the Flywheel. I wanted to share this with you because this will make a big difference in terms of what is happening to the price of Bitcoin. Pause this, try to learn what it says, but it is primarily about the network usage, the Ethereum burning, and all of these things collectively makes up the price and moves the price of Ethereum up or down. Okay? So you can pause this, study this, but this flywheel is very important to understand. All these different mechanisms moves the price of Ethereum. Okay, so What do we got here? This talks about how Ethereum will become deflationary. Remember, I talked about gas. Every time a program is run in Ethereum, it needs gas. So think of Ethereum platform needs gas. What is gas? It's ETH. But obviously it doesn't need one ETH, depends what you're running. The more programs people build, the more gas it burns, okay? Meaning it needs gas. So you have to buy Ethereum to run your program. What a beautiful mechanism, right? You have to buy Ethereum to run your program. Do you understand what I'm saying? That means when thousands and thousands and millions of apps and software that runs all the financial system as it moves over to Ethereum, they're going to need to buy Ethereum to run. We call that gas, okay? So it's like the oil that's needed to run this machine. Second thing is utilities, as I said just now. More and more utilities that you have running, it's going to need more gas. And then effectively, there's a burning mechanism that was built into this. So the burn is happening all the time. It is burning the Ethereum, so it's going down in terms of supply. Every time gas is used for the transaction, a percentage of that is being burnt. And then last but not least, Tom Lees of the world, Grayscales of the world, and Blackrocks of the world are buying these and removing these Ethereum from the supply and staking them to get 3.5% to 4% interest on them, which is called staking, while the Ethereum itself appreciates. What a beautiful concept, isn't it? And then eventually, more and more applications are being built. So much more gas will be burnt. So your 3.5% inflation will be stuck there, and it will become 4.5%, 5% burning every year. So you get a deflation of that. So you'll begin to see the supply of Ethereum over a period of years to go down and down and down. So that's going to be interesting. You can imagine what happens when you have a supply and demand imbalance, right? Okay, price predictions. Finally, we're here. This is a short term, meaning next few days worth of projection. So right now, I just took a snapshot. What you're looking at is a Fibonacci retracement. So if it breaks that band of 3830, next leg up, okay? So we are playing in that band right now in the next day to 3 days or 4 days, and it hasn't broken. So just wanted to give you a feel for where we are. But once we break 3830, who knows where it's going? So let's go to the long-term price prediction, okay? And then what we have here is, on top, some of the big guys out there predicting what the Ethereum price will be. So there's an Ethereum price of $5,000 on conservative side. Then there is institutional. Big guys are calling for 22,000 per Ethereum. And on the bull case, they're calling for 40,000. So I've taken all these numbers. I put it in the spreadsheet below. So current price, you'll see a column says current price is 3,700. So now if you go to $5,000, what does that mean? That means your market cap becomes $600 billion. Do you see that? So you have to think about in terms of market cap too. Is that realistic? I think from going from $444 billion today to 600 definitely is realistic. All right. And then taking it to the next level by 2030, this is, guys. Of course, I think we're going to hit 5,000 this year. Not financial advice, just my opinion, guys. Remember that. Everything I'm saying here is for educational purpose and my opinion. All right? Don't make any financial decision based on what I'm saying. Look at the 22,000. That makes Ethereum $2.6 trillion, almost the size of Bitcoin today. All right? It is very, very possible and very, very doable. And then if it goes to 40,000, now we're talking about $4.8 trillion market cap, which is also very doable by 2030. In summary, guys, Ethereum is a smart contract, blockchain based. It is programmable blockchain, unlike Bitcoin. So if you need to remove the middleman, think about everything that we do. We have a bank, that's a middleman. We want to buy a house, we need to escrow, that's a middleman. Anything you do has a middleman that takes fees. So once all of these things are built in the next 2 to 5 years, you and I are going to be able to buy and sell houses without the middleman because we'll use smart contract that is going to be housed on Ethereum. So every single transaction you can think about is going to be needing Ethereum to burn. And what do you think is going to happen to the price of Ethereum? It's going to go up and up and up. Anyhow, guys, it was a pleasure talking about Ethereum. The next one I'll do Chainlink. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, and please write to me about any other particular videos you would like. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Take care and good night.